When we think about design inspiration, what is the first thing that comes to our mind? We go to the internet, right? Everyone does that. Or second, we skim through the aisle of a grocery store looking at packaging. Nothing is wrong in that. We all do that. I also do that. But I actually start from somewhere else. I start at looking at things we don't normally notice. For example, this bent little piece of wire, also called as a paperclip. Now, phones have changed, cars have changed, and come on, logos change every week. But why is that this bent little piece of wire or a paperclip hasn't changed for more than 100 years? Some designs change with the world, others are designed so perfectly that they change the world. You can also see this difference in road signage or airport signages. When you're going at 80 km per hour on a car on a highway, and you look at a stop sign which is designed in a decorative handwritten, maybe a wedding font, you know what will happen, right? Before you read the letter S, you're already on the next junction or something worse. When you go to the airport and you look at a billboard or a gate number which is designed in a gradient with a very low contrast of the gate number, you are at the airport, you're always in a hurry, you're always at rush. And with the luggage, with all the tension, you will accidentally go to the wrong gate. That is what will happen if design was chosen aesthetics over functionality. In these high pressure moments, design isn't decoration, it is actually survival. And you see it everywhere around you. In 2000, there was a state in Florida where the US elections happened, and a designer was given a task to design the election booth. We can also call it as a butterfly ballot. And she, in fact, designed in such a way that every single voter chose the wrong vote. There were thousands of voters who selected the wrong president. That's because look at the dot where the person had to vote and look at the dot where they actually voted. We humans have the tendency of reading things from top to bottom and left to right. And the designer chose the aesthetics, trying to fit all the names in that square box instead of being actual functional. And this is just one mistake of many mistakes that happens in graphic design if we choose aesthetics, if we focus on visuals more than the functionality of it. Design is here to solve problems, not to always look beautiful. I just came back from New York. I was in New York last week. Just came back, I think, 3 days ago, and so much of inspiration. Love the city, insane culture, and I recently noticed their subway changed. The subway map changed, and subway, as you know, is the soul of the city. The map which the subway has been running on was designed almost 50 years ago, and finally they changed their map. And let me show you why they exactly changed it. On the left, you can see the old subway map with the exact um, geographical design of the New York City. Like this is exactly how New York looks like. But it was so difficult to navigate using this map. People were having a tough time, people were missing trains, and it just wasn't perfect. And on the right, you see is the new and updated map, which was just rolled out a few months ago. It is not perfect, it is not mathematically or geographically perfect, but it doesn't have to be. If it works for the city of New York, if it works for the people living in New York, if it works for everyone traveling and navigating in the city, it doesn't have to be perfect. The dots, the lines, the curves, those are the ones driving people every single day in subways. It's okay if it's mathematically incorrect, but visually it works and it works for people. Recently, we got a chance to work with this brand called Super You. How many know about this brand? Yeah, a few of y'all. So we were a part of the design process. Nikunj Biani, who is the co-founder with Anveer Singh, he reached out to us, and they were looking at designing packaging, specifically Super U protein chips. And in my design studio, I run a design studio in Bombay. This was one of the tasks which was given to us. Now, there were some iterations and renditions which we created initially, which had nice fancy graphics, a lot of elements floating around. There were also variations where we had literally bodybuilders, people on surfing boards, and people flying, maybe climbing a mountain. All that adjectives shown in the packaging. That was the emotion we really wanted to capture in super used neo packaging. But would it work? Of course not. In this market of a grocery store, in this cutthroat market, standing out is the number one thing, is the number one factor. No matter how funny, how quirky, or how artsy the design we had planned to look, but it just couldn't actually handle the state of the market. So, what we did, we went back to our drawing board and we focused on simplicity, we focused on readability, and we emphasized on what the brand is really trying to do. It's trying to get your attention, trying to offer you a light alternative protein chip, which can be a good source of protein for your evening snack. And it just worked. It just worked really well. Then you often see these things in daily lives, in traffic signals. Traffic signals are and they remain the same throughout. I mean, you go to any country, yes, the design changes, but the fundamental of having these three colors, which drives millions of people around the world, controls millions of life, and without saying a single word, it tells you what to do. It controls your actions, controls your movements without speaking to you. That is the actual power of design. You see, this Google, this is the number one most visited site on the internet. It is so simple. It is not speaking to you. It is not telling you what to search. It is super clean and it is just functional. A simple search bar, nothing too fancy. You come here and you ask what you want. So while I was in New York, I did like a meetup. I met a bunch of Indian designers, and I started to realize that in India we used to actually take design in a sense that we used to make it very very artistic. We used to take a lot of inspiration from the Western medium. But now I'm proud to say that after listening to a lot of Indian designers, after meeting a lot of people here, I have realized that how we are deriving the functionality part of design into our culture, into our Indian design system. How we have moved from just being more and more artsy, more and more aesthetic, to being more and more functional and to make it work for actual people. Because if it does not work for you, if it does not solve your problem, no matter how good it looks, it will not be a good design. There's a famous quote by an artist is that uh, good design is you can appreciate it and you can see it, you can take a picture of it, but great design is something that transparent, like this paperclip right here. How many of y'all did not even realize that this paperclip was not changed for hundreds and hundreds of years? It's something so simple. It's something um not crazy. It's not something out of the world, but it is designed so perfectly that it does not need to change at all. And that is what great design actually is. And yeah, I just wanted to come here and tell you about this thing and wanted a takeaway from this talk that I want you all to notice these things around you. I want you all to notice these everyday things that we take for granted. These everyday things that are just evolved in our life and how much we do not understand the power of it. How much we do not understand that how greatly it was designed once and never again. And with that, I would like to end my talk. Thank you so much.